Hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Evening Crypto, your favorite crypto news related channel. And today is going to be a jam-packed episode filled with XLM and XRP bullish momentum. We've got State Street announcing 16% allocation into crypto retirement portfolios, and the alt season that we've been predicting, I'm anticipating is on the horizon here in 2025. But today's going to be a very exciting episode for several reasons. We got some major confirmations from many of our favorite altcoins that massive collapse that occurred on Saturday was an anomaly for the crypto space. And I'm going to divulge into that all throughout today's episode. But I wanted to start off today's show with a brief clip from Paul Barron. And he did a phenomenal interview discussing the potential for the XLM price chart and what's on the precipice here. We're going to start with this video and break it down. Here it is.
Do you agree with his bullish prediction on those four assets with Bitcoin, ETH, XLM, and XRP?
Yeah. I mean, XLM would be the riskiest out of that. I'm curious why. I mean, no one's really talked about that lately. That didn't even make a new all-time high in the last bull run. I mean, that's going to be 10 times more riskier, I think, than buying Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP. I mean, it still could absolutely do well, but yeah, I agree. I think the crypto market in general will do really well. I mean, the XLM thing seems kind of random to me, but yeah.
Well, people are I think are pointing at this. This right here is the fifth wave, I think is what they call this. And, you know, I probably should have All in Crypto on because he's a big XLM guy. Fifth wave rally, eyes about 144 before year end. What would it take to get a 144 XLM by year end?
Let's take a look at the chart there. So XLM, you know, the big thing here, you made a lower high in this bull run in 2021, you know, after 2018. You made a lower high so far back in November of 24. You haven't even got there. $1.44, I mean, I'll give you that. It's a big fib level. I think you need to break above your old all-time high from 2018 at $1 first. If we look at where this could go, like, sure, yeah, you could probably get up to 60 cents, an easy double. If you break above that, I mean, theoretically, you could go higher. I think this is very risky business, though. I mean, I don't... Yeah. You would need some, I mean, it's not really, it's looking more like here, like October 20, like look at what happened. Bitcoin made a new all-time high in October, November 21. This just fell off a cliff, you know what I mean, last time. So it looks very similar to this era. I'd be very cautious, extremely cautious with this. Be very careful.
Well, guys, for the short term, what did we just learn? That Bitcoin dictates the majority of the price action for many of our favorite altcoins, whether it's Cardano, whether it's Solana, whether it's Ethereum, or of course, XLM and XRP. Bitcoin is going to be the factor that drives this market forward or leads us into a bear market. But I did want to give a massive thank you and a shout out. We already passed 1,000 live listeners. We're only 3 minutes into the program for today. If you enjoy this content, show us some love, smash that like button. I want to give a massive thank you to the donations that have come through. Now, I showed you guys the update yesterday. I'll just repeat it one more time. How we're going to do the donations on this channel is I'm going to go through the content throughout today's episode, and I will spend the last 10 to 15 minutes of the show addressing all of the questions and all of the donations that occur in the live chat. So I just wanted to preface that. But what's so important about that analysis that he just showed us is that when it comes to the XLM price chart, this chart does not move independently. It is essentially dictated by the price action of many of our favorite altcoins like XRP. Think about what the XRP price chart has done over these last couple of years. Every time we get bullish momentum for the XRP ledger, XLM coincidentally moves at the same time. And my favorite example of this was back in 2023 when BlackRock had filed supposedly an XRP ETF in the state of Delaware or Wyoming. I can't remember. But what occurred there was so shocking because the XRP price chart went up about 12% on the day based on that news. Now, of course, that makes sense, right? BlackRock announcing an XRP ETF, that would be massive bullish momentum for the entire crypto space. And of course, XRP should respond positively. The shocking news here was that the XLM price chart had the exact same price action, was up 12% on the day, had a major announcement, major pump in price based off the news. And when the news was found out to be false, we saw XRP price go back to where it was and XLM quickly followed. So for the newer investors in this space, what you should know is that when XRP is moving, XLM is right behind it, chasing along, following that bullish momentum and building on the momentum of the market that we talk about every single day on this channel. Now, I want to make a very clear point here. You're going to hear a lot of other channels talking about a bear market. You're going to hear a lot of other channels talking about how many of the bull market predictions need to be changed and reevaluated. That is not my perception on what we've witnessed here in the summer, or I guess the fall of 2025. What I'm actually seeing is something a little bit different. We could be looking at what has long time been speculated as an elongated cycle. We could be seeing many of our favorite altcoins begin to run in October, November, December here in 2025, but then have that extended bull run taking us all the way into the first quarter of 2026. Now, why would that work to our advantage? That would mean that many of the price targets that we've been talking about, a $10 XRP, $140,000 Bitcoin, a $6,000 Ethereum, these price targets would be left in the dust and blown out of the water, as they say. We would be looking at a market that reaches far higher than the evaluations we've been predicting. So wanted to make sure I hammered home that positive sentiment on today's show, even if we see a change in structure. And even if for some reason we don't get that massive euphoric moment towards the back end of November, there is light at the end of the horizon because of these ETFs and because of the Clarity Act, which we're going to discuss later on in today's episode. But I did want to give a massive thank you to everybody who's enjoying this new channel. If you enjoy this content, show us some love, smash that like button, and we're going to start getting into some of the major announcements that I have prepared for you guys today. Now, what's really interesting is we've seen a complete reversal in the way that BlackRock CEO Larry Fink is talking about the digital asset space. Earlier this morning, he was calling for dramatic crypto regulation here inside the US, and even went as far as to confirm that he believes the process of regulation is happening too slowly. So what does this mean? It means that the largest companies in the US, JP Morgan, Citibank, BlackRock, all of those three companies we're going to talk about during today's show today, they are all ready to onboard crypto products to the millions of clients they have all across the world, but specifically here inside the United States. And when you think about the major differences between the 2021 bull market and where we are today, the major difference that I see is institutions are now speaking positively about many of our favorite assets. And very soon, we're going to be talking about the order books being completely filled with products from JP Morgan, from BlackRock, and so on. Now, again, I'm rocking a solo dolo portion of the show. We are here on Good Evening Crypto. If you guys enjoy these morning live streams, it does really help us out. If you smash that like button, you let the algorithm know you enjoy this content and you're excited about this show. But I just wanted to start off today's episode with an announcement out of JP Morgan that was made yesterday on CNBC. Now, what was confirmed here? JP Morgan confirms that on CNBC that they will allow clients to trade Bitcoin and crypto, but have not launched custody services yet. It appears to me that they are getting through the floodgates here and starting the transition into blockchain products. But let's listen to what the JP Morgan representative had to say and break it down.
And just in terms of another big topic that the banks focus on, custody of crypto assets. I was speaking to Citi last week, suggesting they're going to launch their own crypto custody service. This is actually holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other tokens as well. When it comes to how you're approaching digital assets, how big a topic is custody right now? Is it something that you're looking to launch as well?
From a JP Morgan side, I don't think that's in the near-term horizon for us. I think Jamie was pretty clear at Investor Day that we're going to be involved in the trading of that, but custody isn't on the table at the moment. There's a lot of questions around our own risk appetite of how far we want to go down that path from trading and other sides of it, and then custody, I guess, would follow. But naturally, we need custodians, so we're exploring what the right custodians for us for the business footprint that will grow.
And just in terms of another big...
So there you have it, guys. JP Morgan is planning to allow clients to trade crypto here starting after the Clarity Act is passed in 2026. And there was a major announcement in regards to Bitcoin ETFs, which we are going to cover later on today. But I want to give a shout out to Seven Dennis for this accurate reporting here. Earlier this morning, we saw Citibank just approved custody and trading of crypto for institutions in 2026. We can see the floodgates opening before our very eyes. We are looking at a market that's going to expand from under $4 trillion and where we are today to north of a $10 trillion market over the next calendar year. And it's really not about just XRP, guys. We focus on XRP. I am most bullish on the digital asset XRP. But the truth of the matter is that many of these other altcoins are going to thrive here in 2025. I'm just going to give you some of the daily movers. Then we'll break down some of the price action that I find interesting. We got Bitcoin down about 3% on the day, trading at about 111,000. We got Ethereum trading just below $4,000. BNB token sitting in that number 4 spot at just below 1,200. We got XRP at 245. Solana's at 196. Dogecoin is 19 cents. Cardano is 68 cents. Chainlink is 18. Stellar is 32. And AVAX trading at about 22 cents this morning. And live chat, I want to hear from you all. Are you bullish on XLM? One's for yes. Two's for no, as we just heard with that analysis earlier in the episode, we're really going to have to watch what XRP does, because that will dictate how well XLM performs here in the calendar year of 2025. Now, when we look at the market today, it's obvious, right? Altcoins are trading down and sideways. Bitcoin is currently trading down and sideways. What we're waiting to see here is a reversal and heading up into more bullish momentum. If we can see Bitcoin trading or getting daily closures above $120,000, which is $9,000 above where we are today, that's where I would anticipate bullish momentum is back in this market. But up until then, we're really just in a range. We're watching to see what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin for some reason breaks down, which I'm not anticipating, these altcoins are going to bleed heavily. And we always say, we follow the Rothschild analysis here on Good Evening Crypto. You buy when there's blood in the streets, and you take profit when the retail investor is euphoric. When you're walking in the grocery store and you hear your friends and family talking about cryptocurrency, that's probably when you should be taking profit. When you walk into the grocery store and nobody's talking about cryptocurrency, or they're making jokes about it, saying how it's so poor, it's so bad, that is when you should be buying these assets. And what keeps me optimistic here in the fall of 2025 is that when I look around and I analyze this market today, the average retail investor thinks they have it all figured out. They think that this market is in a bearish trend, and they think these altcoin prices are headed much lower. Now, big thank you to Noah. And remember, guys, we are going to be addressing every single one of these comments live on stream. Noah said, Abs, when we hit $10, can we pool money and have a live stream with a live audience, please? Now, that's worthy of reading on stream. Guys, if you'd like a live Good Evening Crypto, an in-person event, smash that like button, throw a 1 in chat. I want to see if people would actually be interested in something like that. Maybe we can make it happen here in the future. But again, when we're looking at the momentum of the market today, I want our listeners to have a realistic yet optimistic perception of this market. We're in bullish momentum. The space is seeing more adoption, more regulation, more positive sentiment by the day, but it's the retail investors that have been here for about 6 months that are now calling for a bear market. They're saying that this event should have taken place a long time ago. We missed out on the bull run. I absolutely disagree. And I want to hammer that home time and time again during today's episode. I do not want our community to get lost in the sauce, as they say, and buy into the narrative that, yeah, altcoins are set to go down. All of this market, we reached our euphoric moment here in 2025. I have not seen the blow off top. I have not seen the mass adoption from institutions. I've not seen the mass media or the mainstream media begin the mass marketing campaign of the century, where they start telling regular everyday people they need exposure. And I even shared a story live on air yesterday where I had a friend, very wealthy, prominent friend, very successful in the business trade that he takes place in. He pulled me to the side on Saturday and he goes, hey, Abs, I got to give you a little inside information. And I go, oh my goodness, break it down. I want to hear this great info. He goes, I think crypto was built to destroy the middle class. And the big plan here is to funnel middle class investors into the digital asset space and then reduce these assets to zero. And I looked at him like a deer in the headlights and I said, that sounds like a narrative from 2017. That sounds like a narrative from 2013, right? But here in 2025, pro-crypto president, digital asset working group, ETF applications, Genius Act already passed, Clarity Act is being worked on. Keep those old narratives in the past, my friends. Crypto's here to stay in the USA, and I've made a very strong point of that since the beginning of the Trump administration on November 5th, 2024. But we already have almost 1,000 live listeners here on Good Evening Crypto. If you're excited, you enjoy this content, show us some love, smash that like button, and let the YouTube algorithm know, listen, these guys, they might not have it all figured out, but they're all right here on Good Evening Crypto. And this is an important piece of data I thought our listeners would appreciate, as over the weekend, we saw the price collapse of the century. We have never witnessed a collapse like we saw on Saturday, October 10th, 2025. And hopefully it's that way for the short term. When you think about who was selling a lot of these digital assets, 2.2 billion XRP, which is worth nearly $6 billion, was sold by whales since last Friday. So it wasn't the retail investor. It wasn't the Good Evening Crypto live chat that was responsible for this collapse. Instead, it was the institutional investors and the largest players in this market that were selling massive amounts of XRP all across the world, leading to this large price collapse. Now, I shared the sentiment yesterday as well. What really caused the collapse that we witnessed? Well, it's fairly obvious. People overreacted to the tariff news, and they didn't want to be caught in a downtrend. And that's what happens time and time again during these cascading, I guess, bearish runs that we see. One big player pulls their money, all big players pull their money. And until there's real hard evidence in the market, you're going to continue to see that bearish trend take place. Now, lucky for us in the XRP community, we didn't experience nearly as much of a sell-off as some of these other altcoins. And you don't even have to travel outside the top 10. Look at what happened to Cardano, guys. Cardano was trading at about 85 cents, went as low as 30 cents on the price chart. Project like Cosmos was trading at $4, reached as low as 1 penny on exchanges. And here's the real lesson, and I'm going to spend a moment on this, guys, because I think it's so important, is that when you hear large content creators like Zach Rector talk about the XRP market multiplier or DAI or Mickle or Coach JV or the Bearable Bull, anybody, the XRP market multiplier works in both directions. And we got a clear example of that on Friday. What did we see on Friday? Or I guess Saturday. We saw fake news lead to a major sell-off, that major sell-off being proven incorrect, and within a single hour, the market correcting itself. But we went and looked at the data, and Zach Rector did a great job of doing this, guys. And he found that for every $1 that was pulled out of the market, there was a 1200x multiplier for the actual market cap. That means $1 pulled out of the XRP market cap, the actual market cap dropped $1,200 in value. So that's pretty bearish, right? Nobody likes to hear that negative news, but let's apply the opposite end of that. When we get bullish momentum, and let's use the ETFs as a great example of where this momentum may come from. When we see Grayscale and Bitwise and Franklin Templeton and 21 Shares all launching their spot XRP products and all buying this asset openly, we're able to track that data live on air and present it to you guys. My anticipation is that we are going to see the XRP market multiplier work in our favor. So the same way that you saw $1 out, $1,200 down in the market cap, I believe we're going to see $1 in, $400 to $500 increase in market cap. And let's expand on that. So let's just say that the Canary Capital CEO, who's predicting $5 billion in day one, let's say he's totally wrong and we only get $1 billion in day one. If we saw $1 billion worth of inflows with the XRP market cap multiplier being a 200x, that would mean $1 billion worth of new capital increase the market cap for XRP $200 billion in value. And we saw this isn't a conspiracy. This isn't a theory. This isn't a narrative. This is a reality here in the crypto space because the order books are so thin that when these sell-offs come, there's a cascading effect. Well, when these orders come in as buy orders, we're going to see that same cascading snowball effect, but in the other direction. We're going to see an XRP price chart that maybe opens up a trading day at $4 and closes that trading day at $5.50. Or they open that trading day at $5.50 and then they close that trading day at $8. That is the type of bullish momentum that I'm anticipating for the XRP price chart. And there's a lot of evidence for that being the case here in the calendar year of 2025. So if you guys agree with that sentiment, throw a 1 in chat. If you disagree with the market cap multiplier, throw a 2 in chat because I really do want to hear our listeners' opinions. And I want to make sure I'm focused on accurate, correct content here on Good Evening Crypto, where, listen, if people need to be convinced of the XRP market cap multiplier, that's totally fine. Like, I want to give a shout out to Planet 7027 in chat. Massive thank you to this guy. He's always here, always contributing. And although he doesn't agree, he doesn't even think the market cap multiplier is real. I appreciate the fact that somebody with a different sentiment is here every single day sharing their opinion. So I want to make sure I give that person a shout out. They're always in the comments kind of, saying things that aren't necessarily positive, but I love the fact that they're always here every single day. So big shout out to you, Planet. We appreciate you. Now, guys, again, when we think about the market cap multiplier, typically it works at about 189x ratio. So when the price is going up, $1 in leads to $189 increase in market cap. When prices are going down, $1 out equals, someone said, Abs is talking about Verhoofdy Fluthen. Shout out to KG. I'm not talking about Verhoofdy, but I also love and appreciate Verhoofdy. So big shout out to you guys. Photographer in chat says, best crypto live chat around. I completely agree, guys. And we did just pass 2,500 live listeners. If you love this content, you enjoy these morning live streams, show us some love, smash that like button, and continue showing up. Because what we're going through right now, this is the calm before the storm. I think this market's going to get really, really exciting towards the back end of this year. And it's not because of retail investors. It's not because of people like you. It's because of people like Larry Fink, BlackRock CEO, who was on CNBC this morning, sharing a ton of positive thoughts about the evolution of digital assets. But I want to make this point as well. When my friend pulled me to the sideline this weekend and said, I believe that crypto is built to steal value and destroy the middle class, I said, then why does BlackRock own 100 billion? Why does BlackRock have $100 billion worth of Bitcoin on their balance sheet, right? And I actually appreciate people who fall for the narrative that Bitcoin is this decentralized asset, this gift from God that's going to solve our debt issues. I actually have more respect for those theses and those opinions than the people who tell me that here in 2025, Bitcoin is built to steal wealth from the middle class. The evidence is against us, and I couldn't be more outspoken about that every single day here on Good Evening Crypto. But let's listen to these brand new statements out of BlackRock CEO discussing how they now own over $100 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin IBIT is now over $100 billion.
I know, so from nothing not that long ago.
And 2 years ago, zero.
Yeah,
so
I know. Well, you weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know.
I love it now. But I grow and learn.
I heard you say that on 60 Minutes.
I did say that.
Jim?
So what's pretty funny about that, guys, is there's two big things I take away from this very short video. Number one was he said, BlackRock acquired over $100 billion worth of Bitcoin in only 2 years, right? This product launched January 19th, 2024. We're about a year and 9 months away from when BlackRock began buying Bitcoin. And I said this on the phone the other day as well. I was speaking with a different friend, and he was talking about, guys, I don't know if I believe in this altcoin thing. And I said, we don't even have to speculate. You know what we can do? We can look at the exact same shift that we saw BlackRock CEO make, that we saw Goldman Sachs make, that we saw Bank of America make. These were the biggest contrarians of crypto. And for years, these were the people who were telling the middle-class Americans like me and you, the people in our live chat, I'm just like you guys. I'm trying to make it as well. I'd love to see a $1,000 XRP by December. But I do believe that we're going to get the bull run that we all predicted. Someone said, honest question, Abs, do you like or dislike the fact that altcoins follow behind Bitcoin going up and down? Now, that's a really good question. I don't think I like or dislike the idea, but here's what I would say. This is how the market operates, and I'm going to act accordingly, right? If I could choose, I would choose for utility to be in effect right now. But the evidence is we're not in a utility market. We're just not there. And I want to give a shout out to Gonzo. I think Gonzo said this in the live chat earlier. If he's still in chat, thank you to Gonzo. He said, he's like, utility is just starting, but it's not what people anticipate, right? In some way, ETFs, this is going to create an independent demand, meaning we'll see XRP ETF inflows not correlated to the price of Bitcoin. But I don't think we're in a market where people are reliant on these blockchain products to improve their existing business models. So when we wake up one day and Bank of America says, hey, you can use crypto services to reduce costs and complete cheaper, faster transactions, that is when I think the utility market's in full effect. And that's when I believe we're going to see this decoupling event for many of the altcoins that are being utilized for real world use cases, as opposed to some of these other altcoins that, yeah, maybe they have a successful business model and maybe they'll be around, but they're just dictated by the momentum of Bitcoin. So honest question, Abs, do you like or dislike the fact? I would say I like it because it makes it very simple and easy to understand, but I dislike the fact that right now, many of these altcoins can't do anything for their price unless Bitcoin is going up. So I hope I answered that kind of nuanced question. And I do appreciate the questions and comments that come in chat, guys. We are going to be addressing every single donation at the end of the episode. So I just want to give a shout out to anybody who donated. It's greatly appreciated here on Good Evening Crypto. And I'm very excited about the ability to interact with you guys through those live donations. But that's not where BlackRock CEO ended his bullish sentiment. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, a $13 trillion asset manager, says they're developing their own technology for the tokenization of real-world assets. Now, we could do a whole episode on this, but because we're already 23, 24 minutes into the program, I'm just going to keep it short and sweet for our listeners. When BlackRock begins launching tokenized stocks, tokenized bonds, tokenized equity, that's utility. That's the moment where we see a huge influx of capital, and projects like XRP just outperform Bitcoin in a way that we've been predicting. Now, I know during this calendar year, Bitcoin's up about 90%. Maybe it's even up over 100% at this point. I have to check the current sentiment. But what I would say is that Bitcoin doing 100% in a year, it's nothing compared to what some of these altcoins will do. When you look at a project like HBAR, when you look at a project like XRP, or even like Cardano, there's so much more potential from a market cap standpoint that I believe these altcoins are going to have much higher returns throughout the remainder of the bull run. Bitcoin is that lower volatility digital asset. It's a preservation of wealth. You're not going to have nearly the black swan bearish events that we have with alts, but you're also not going to have those 400x months that we have with alts, right? XRP did a 400% gains less than 12 months ago. You're not going to see that with Bitcoin. You're not going to wake up and see Bitcoin trading at 100,000 and then by the end of the month trading at 400,000. It's just not possible. It really is not possible. So keep that in mind, guys. If you're a middle-class American, if you're a lower-class American like myself, I'm in the same boat. I think it's actually better to go more risk on. You know, we need exceptional circumstances to make a lot of wealth and preserve the wealth that our families have. And I think with the rapid inflation that we're dealing with, the rising housing costs, it's very difficult to open a small business nowadays. You should be risk on. You should take that risk. You should stand by your convictions. And that's what I'm doing with my own portfolio, guys. Not a financial advisor. I do talk about crypto every day. I'm never going to give you financial advice and tell you buy this and sell this. What I would say is that if you got nothing to lose, you got nothing to lose. Go all in on digital assets and give yourself the best potential to be a wealthy American heading into the back half of this decade here in 2025. We got 1,118 live listeners on YouTube, 3,000 listeners listening on all platforms. If you enjoy this content, show us some love, smash that like button. I cannot see the live like counter today. I would appreciate if somebody in the live chat, can you give me an update on how many likes the episode is currently at? And then I'll continue with the episode. So I do want to give a huge thank you to anybody who watches and supports this show. Now, what am I going to get into next? We are going to start breaking down the possibility of Ripple becoming a bank. Maybe not even the possibility, the inevitability. Because once again, we showed you this analysis and update from a former Ripple employee, Bob Way. And Bob Way was asked on Twitter, what's the end game for Ripple? When are we going to start seeing XRP reach these ridiculously high price targets? Somebody said we're at 506 likes. Massive thank you guys, passing 500 likes in the first half an hour. Love and appreciate you guys. Really happy about that. So thank you so much. What we're going to start breaking down, I'll give you my longer analysis after this video. I'm going to sip some coffee and get my voice back a little bit. We're going to talk about why Ripple's becoming a bank and how this benefits XRP investors. Here it is.
Look, recently we've spoken about Hidden Road, the brokerage service coming in, and their use of the XRP ledger and the RLUSD token, the stable coin, as collateral. And that's just been confirmed by CEO Brad Garlinghouse recently. But then out of the blue, Ripple decides they want to go as a federal bank, getting a license to be a bank from the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, and then also possibly apply for a Fed master account. And I'm just like blown away. It is a massive, massive move. So if it comes off, it hasn't come off yet, but if it does come off, well, you know, there's some serious value there. So yes.
There you have it, guys. Yes. And I think
recently
what's so exciting about that, and I love what this listener had to say, clearing the DTCC with Hidden Road using the RLUSD Ripple stablecoin, the XRP ledger will have massive value just from that. Now acquire that Fed master account, and the XRP ledger becomes a critical financial infrastructure. And for all of our OG XRP listeners, right, guys, from the Good Morning Crypto show, you know that I used to talk about the gratis vendor theory. Now, for our newer investors, they may not totally understand what I mean. So I'll give you a really brief update about why that's important. The gratis vendor theory is when a software company or a technology company gifts software code to the US government because it is identified as a critical financial infrastructure, which is so ironic because what is just said in this tweet, this would make the XRP ledger critical financial infrastructure. And I had this theory back in the day, guys, where I used to talk about this very consistently. I used to say, I believe that Ripple might end up allocating XRP to pay the SEC fine. What did I mean by that? Well, I basically meant that I think that Ripple is going to say, hey, instead of giving you guys US dollars, let's pay this fine in the XRP token. That way, XRP is now held on the US government's balance sheet. Well, that theory is still in play. With Ripple having 37 billion XRP in their escrow, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they took 100 million worth of XRP, gifted it to the United States government because they would like exposure to this critical infrastructure. And I can even do a longer breakdown on this later on. I'm going to do my short form content at 5:30. I always give you guys that 5:30 update as well. So we're going to have the morning streams. We're going to have the 5:30 p.m. updates. And what I'm excited for about this 5:30 p.m. update, guys, is that I'm able to deep dive on many of the topics. Like we're going to touch 20 different topics on these morning live streams. On those short form content, those 20-minute videos, we go deep on the analysis for each individual project. And for each topic, specifically Ripple becoming a United States bank, This is a rabbit hole that could take months of research. Nobody knows the real impact of Ripple becoming a United States bank here. Now, we got 3,100 live listeners. Show us some love. Smash that like button, especially if your name is Reggie Nuts in chat. We appreciate you always being here, my friend. But I did want to let you guys know, I do have to run at 12 today. I'm going to begin opening up the live chat for some questions. We're going to address the donations to kind of wrap up today's episode. Now, when we look at the XRP price chart, again, this liquidation event, very bullish. And I did an XRP analysis during yesterday's episode where I talked about this. I said back in 2017, right before we had the largest bull run in history for the XRP price chart, we're still talking about that bull run. What is it? 8 years, 9 years later, that started off with a huge liquidation event. We saw the XRP price chart have a wick of about 80% back in 2017, completely liquidating many of the leverage traders that exist in the space. We saw a very similar update yesterday on the XRP price chart where this mass liquidation event created a huge wipeout for retail investors and leverage traders. And now this price chart is ready to head back up in the other direction. But I want to give a massive thank you, $20 donation. A man called Nuris. Thank you so much. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He said, let's kick this new gen started on a good note. Thanks, Abs. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for the $20 donation. And we see you every day, a man called Nuris. So I want to give a big shout out to you. Mariah V said, good morning, crypto. Let's make it a great day. Love you all. Shout out to Mariah. The love is mutual. And we appreciate you being here. Noah Bennett said, thank you for the $10 donation. And thank you for the $5 donation, Mariah. Much appreciated. Noah Bennett commented, ETF decision still on schedule for the 18th? The answer to that is no. Until the U.S. government is back in action, paying their employees, the ETF decisions are currently put on ice. So don't anticipate any ETF approvals until we see the U.S. government back in their offices and getting things done. Now, I did elaborate on this a little bit yesterday. I believe it's not beneficial for the U.S. government to even stay closed for another 72 hours. So if that changes, we will see changes for the ETFs as well. Kelly Harrison with the $2 donation. Big thank you to you, my friend. He's got the punching bag in chat. Take it easy, my friend. Don't hit that punching bag too hard. Shout out to you. We appreciate you. Noah Bennett with the $4.99. Abs, when we hit $10, can we pool our money and have a live stream with a live audience, please? I can do it. I can definitely do it. I would love to do a live audience. If we did that, it'd have to be somewhere in Florida. I want the warm weather. I want to escape the Boston winter. So if you'd participate in this, throw a 1 in chat. If you're watching after the live stream, leave a comment underneath the video. This is something we can run by. Maybe me and Johnny Krypto can make this happen. And a big thank you to our final donation photographer with the $5.89 said, appreciate all your hard work, Abs, to keep us informed. Love the interactions with the live chat. You've created a great community. And guys, we're in the process of becoming the wealthiest, smartest, most informed crypto community on the interwebs, as they say. So big thank you. If you're a part of our community, make sure you do your push-ups. That's a standard that we have here. 10 push-ups every morning, got nothing to do with crypto, but it's an easy way to set yourself up for physical success. Look at those biceps. Come on, guys. If you enjoyed this content, show us some love. Smash that like button. Just a quick reminder, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be giving you guys an update. I'm typically going to do an hour, but you know what? With the solo show, it's raining in Boston. I got a 5:30 p.m. update. And I do want to give a big shout out to Planet. I meant what I said. I appreciate the fact this guy's been here for years. So credit is given where credit is due on this channel. And I'm going to jump in and start recording our 5:30 p.m. video with Johnny Krypto. So that's why I got to run. I'm going to get more content pumped out for you guys later on today. So we love you guys. We appreciate you all. And we'll see you in the next one.